Okay, the final video for this chapter is linear inequalities. So the first thing we're going to do is to draw linear inequalities on a number line. So if we look at this first one, x is greater than 3. So we've got a number line for x. I'm going to put a circle above the number 3. Okay, and because it's not underlined, this symbol, I'm going to leave this as an unshaded circle. So it's just going to be a blank circle like that. I've got an inequality symbol going in that direction. So if you think about that being an arrowhead, that means that my inequality is going that way. And that's the first one done. Okay, let's have a look at the second one. So x is less than or the same as 1. So I'm still going to put a circle above the value 1. But the inequality is underlined this time. So I'm going to shade this inequality. And that just means that it includes 1 here. And again, I've got my inequality symbol going this way, even though it's an underline. So if you think about it as an arrowhead, it would be going in that direction. That's my second one done. The third for the number line, you've actually got 2 numbers here. I've got one for -3, and I've got another one above 1. But this time I have to connect them. So there's no arrow. Okay, I've just got to connect them. And then you've just got to decide which one's going to be underlined. So the -3, the symbol next to it is not underlined. So the -3 is going to stay unshaded. The 1, however, has an underlined inequality symbol next to it, which means it's going to include the number 1. So that's how you draw inequalities on a number line. The last part, well, I've got 2 things. The first one is called integer solutions, and the other one is just solving inequalities. So integers are just whole numbers, okay? This is telling me that in this inequality, we've got the numbers -4, -3, all the way to 2. You've just got to decide whether it includes the end values. The -4, well, the inequality next to it is not underlined, so I'm getting rid of that. Doesn't include the -4. The 2, however, is underlined, so I'm including it. So actually, all of my values here are possible values between these 2, okay? That solves this inequality, and they're all whole numbers. So what you could find is the end number could be 2.5, or 2.5 is not a whole number, so the closest whole number would be 2, okay? So just make sure you read the word integer. That just means whole number. Now the final thing is solving, so we'll do A here. Very, very similar. I'm actually going to add a C question here because I'm going to show you one more thing. Okay, so let's look at the first one. It's very, very similar to solving equations. It's just with equations, when you solve it, you just find one value. So x equals something. Nothing else works. With an inequality, multiple answers can work, okay? X could be greater than 2, which means it could be 3, 4, 5, 20, 100. So inequalities are more of a range of answers, whereas when you solve, it's just one. Really important that you keep the sign there, okay? So I'm just going to balance this inequality. I'm going to add 2 to both sides, just like you would when you solve. And then I'm going to divide by 3, again, just like when you solve. So x is greater than 4. That means x can be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. B. Now when you've got an in-between inequality like this, the goal is to just try and get x in the middle. At the moment, I've got x times 2 over 3. So we want to undo all of that. So let's first of all deal with the 3, because it's a fraction. I'm going to times all 3 of these elements by 3. -2 times 3 is -6. If I times a fraction by the bottom, you're left with the top. And then 6 times 3 is 18. Just don't forget that the symbols have to be the same. Okay. At the moment, I've got x times 2. I just want x. So I'm going to divide that by 2 and everything else by 2. So that becomes -3. That becomes x. And that becomes 9. I've done it. That's my answer. That means that my values are between -3 and 9, and they include -3 and 9. For part C, now the reason that I wanted to add this on to the end is because, that's not underlined, is because something strange happens when you change the sign of x. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of that 4 by taking it away. Then I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, now I'm going to change the sign of x. I'm going to make that a positive. But don't forget that if you change that to a positive, you've got to change everything. You can't just change one sign without changing the other. Now, technically, what I did was times or divide by -1 on both sides. But when you do that, you have to flip the inequality symbol as well. And that's the difference. And that's it. And one other thing, actually, before I end this is, once you've solved, sometimes they can say, write your solution on a number line. You would just need to put that on a number line, just like we did at the start in example 1. And that's it.